Tomorrow evening, Paisley will find out if it's won its two-year battle to become the UK's City of Culture 2021. It's a prize which brings with it the promise of major economic, social and cultural regeneration. The town is the only Scottish place on the final shortlist, alongside Coventry, Stoke, Sunderland and Swansea. Kellyanne Woodland has been looking at the bids.
With its skyline of spires, landmark buildings and rich heritage, the people of Paisley believe this Victorian town would be the perfect stage for a year of world-class culture. Renowned for its famous Paisley pattern and also Buddy the Lion, this town is eagerly awaiting the decision which could breathe new life into the area. Since the bid was launched 2 years ago, lots of events have been set up to help put Paisley on the cultural map. At Pace Youth Theatre, Snow White is this year's panto. The performers are hoping for Paisley tomorrow night it will also be a fairy tale ending.
I think that Paisley so deserves it. It's worked so hard. I think we've been coming here for 5 years, and throughout those 5 years I've seen such a massive improvement in just walking through the streets, and there's now...
There's like a buzz on the streets.
Yes.
Like everyone's really hyped about it.
There's a lot of history, a lot about the Paisley pattern, the weaving, and Paisley can do this as long as people get behind it.
And that growing belief is giving locals something to sing about. Telling the story of witchcraft in Paisley in the 17th century, this opera production is an example of the town showing it can make culture accessible. Even being a contender has made an impact.
It's already made a huge difference to the town just being on the shortlist, and there's a real buzz about the town already, and I think it would make a huge difference to the town to get it.
But whilst Paisley is bidding for this grand title, the reality is the town has serious issues with deprivation. 1 in 3 children live in poverty. The town was once the site of thriving mills, but industry and many employers have since left. Winning would make all the difference.
Well, it's already proven that access to extra-cultural experience helps people in terms of their mental health and well-being. But what it also does is it's the possibility of 4,700 new jobs and investment of up to £176 million into Paisley that we can use to ensure that Paisley as a town is vibrant.
It's hoped the work which has gone in over the last 2 years will strike a chord with the judges. Tommy McGrory was born and bred in Paisley and set up this music project.
Very slowly I can hear and see people in the streets beginning to believe in Paisley again. The barometer probably is the taxi drivers in Paisley. If the taxi drivers start saying things positive about the City of Culture, you know we're on the right track.
It's a dizzying time, but if Paisley does it, then locals say this Renfrewshire town will once again be full of pride.
Joining us now are 3 passionate supporters of Paisley's bid. The Renfrewshire councillor Lisa Marie Hughes, who's a member of the bid team, the actor Scott Reid, best known for playing Metharone Mick in Still Game, and the journalist and broadcaster Annie Maguire. Thank you all so much for joining us. The nerves are palpable. Yeah. Goodness me. Lisa Marie, tell me first of all, why do you think Paisley deserves to win?
Well, I could talk about that all day, but I can give you 3 reasons.
Sell it to me briefly.
OK, well, firstly, it's a city of culture, and I don't think there's many places that have more culture than Paisley do. You know, we have a radical philanthropic history, we have the culture that comes from our thread mills, the famous Paisley pattern, we have famous actors, artists, musicians, so the culture part is there. But the other thing is that Paisley's bid is the town's bid. We've 334,000 people taking part in the bid, people supporting it all over there, and people supporting it across Scotland as well.
And how much work has actually gone into the bid?
Oh, it's been a phenomenal amount of work. I mean, the bid process itself has been 2 years, but prior to that, there was a build-up period. And this bid is part of a wider strategy to use our culture to change around Paisley's fortunes.
And Scott, has there been, Paisley-wide interest in this? Has everyone really engaged and got on board?
Well, I think not just only Paisley itself. I think actually the whole, as you were saying, across Scotland, and actually it's for us as Scottish, people, we can claim this for our own. We can actually have something that we're really proud of, and actually a culture that really spews out of Paisley, and it's the birthplace really for culture moving forward.
And you're a buddy boy, of course, so this means a lot to you, doesn't it?
It also, growing up in Paisley and taking as much of that culture as I could, taking it and then being able to run off and go and visit other places in the world. It's about coming back now and bringing that home, and then watching the kind of youth kind of prosper in that, in that culture and in that opportunity. So it's a really exciting process.
Annie, for someone that's never been to Paisley, give us an idea of what the place is like. I know that you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, and if you told me 2 years ago that I would be this nervous and this excited about a council-run culture project, I would say no way. But it really, Paisley is a place that does have problems, socio-economic problems. The package there mentioned that 1 in 3 children in some areas live in poverty. But it's a very resilient place, and throughout the kind of hard financial times since the mills closed and shopping went out of town, Paisley's continued to prioritise where it can, nurturing talent and culture. And I think that's why it makes it a great city of culture, because we've always hung on to supporting those who are creative.
As Annie says, there has been trouble over the last decades. It's not what it used to be, I suppose, in terms of productivity, etc. In terms of economic benefits, what would it mean for Paisley if it won the bid?
Well, the benefits are massive. Paisley as a town has gone through the downturn that lots of towns across Britain have. We're looking at economic benefits of, £176 million coming into Paisley, a number we couldn't imagine. We're also looking at the potential for 4,700 jobs. When you think about the deprivation and poverty we have in Paisley, those are life and training experiences that we wouldn't be able to provide at this speed otherwise.
And in terms of culture, is it a really thriving place? Because lots of famous artists have come from there. You, obviously, yeah, Jerry Rafferty, David Tennant, Paolo Nutini. Is it kind of flourishing? Is it?
Yeah, I think we've certainly got the potential to flourish again. I think maybe in the last couple of decades we've not had the same numbers that we had maybe back in like the 80s and the 90s really striving through. I think now we're waiting for a new playwright to be born. John Byrne has exceeded all expectations in a worldwide capacity, but it's time for the next generation to kind of step up and claim that they come from Paisley, claim that they deserve to be on a worldwide scale, not just in the UK but in the worldwide scale, not to be frightened that they're from Paisley, but actually go, we can achieve anything that we want to.
What do you sense? A really nice connectedness as well with those who have been successful, who have come from Paisley, really want to bring on that next generation. Yeah. So the likes of John Byrne and Paolo Nutini have given their support to this bid wholeheartedly, really. And I think that's one of the nice things about it, is that sense of connectedness has really improved in Paisley, I think, over the last 2 years, where everyone really is pulling together. This bid as well genuinely has been cross-party in politics terms, where it was started by a Labour-led council. It's been the SNP MPs in the town, and now the SNP council have really bought into it, and it hasn't been allowed to be that kind of political football. Everyone in the town appears to be behind this.
Is it about people in the town regaining pride?
Oh, absolutely. The example was given us of the taxi driver on the piece earlier. I got a taxi home from work today, and the taxi driver said to me, I don't know what I'll do if we don't get this. I feel sick thinking about it. I think I'm going to be really disappointed. Oh. And the next time I pick you up to take you to work, I hope we've won. And I think the piece is right. Taxi drivers are your barometer.
But it's also just having the buzz around Paisley. I think that's really palpable. Like, my parents are, and they still stay in Paisley, and their friends and family meeting up. There's new restaurants, there's new bars, there's events happening, every week. And actually, there's a pull to come here.
So the buzz already is kind of stimulating
there's
things.
Something every couple of weeks.
Gig, at the Paolo Nutini gig, which had 550 seats, we had 50,000 requests for tickets at the Abbey. I mean, unprecedented. The council could barely handle the calls. And we hope to continue bringing events on that scale.
We asked viewers what their favourite memories of Paisley are, and Jessica Kirkby said, I did a postgrad at what was then Paisley Tech, loved it because it became Paisley Unit while I was there. Councillor Stephen McCabe worked at Paisley South Housing Association for 6 happy years. Great town, great people, good luck tomorrow. Gail Beveridge said St Mirren winning the Scottish Cup in 1987 was her favourite memory, coming back from Hampden and the whole town out in the streets. That must have been some sight. And John said his favourite memory was getting the train home to Greenock. Well, that's just rude and unkind, isn't it?
These do not.
So, how do you think Paisley will fare against the other cities then?
Well, the rest of them are cities and we're a town, and I actually think people could see that as a weakness. I think it's our strength because 2/3 of the population don't live in a city, and I think the media and culture have been dominated by cosmopolitan type areas, and actually that's not most people's experience. Cities don't own culture, and I think this would really put new energy into the City of Culture process by saying we're giving it to a large town, you know, not a glamorous town. And I think that could be our strength against the other cities.
The positives within that, you know, Paisley's infrastructure in terms of being right next to Glasgow Airport, we've got such a great train links, and actually there's something, it's such an easy place to access, not only from Glasgow or from other parts of Scotland as you go east, but from Ayrshire. You know, people can really just easily get there, and you know, in terms of that in itself is something that's amazing that other places probably don't have such a, you know, they're not so well connected.
Would you agree as well, Lisa Marie, that that's a big advantage? The fact that it's a town and not a city.
Well, absolutely. I think what it shows is that towns matter. It's all very well for places to be cities, but as you said, 2/3 of people don't live in cities. We have lots of people living in towns, and we hope to be the example for towns for how they go forward. And obviously high streets, for example, have lost a lot of their businesses through the economic downturn. We're turning ours into a cultural high street, and we hope to be sort of the blueprint for other towns to do that across the UK.
And also, Annie, you were saying earlier that the fact that it's in Scotland might help, because Hull's got it at the moment, the other bids might be a bit similar.
Yeah, it's been to Derry before. I think it would really make a statement for this UK prize to come to Scotland, and that's going to be something that's been in the judges' minds while they're judging this competition. There is a Welsh bid as well, but it'll be interesting to see what decision they make on where it goes next.
In a sentence, each of you, how optimistic are you that you can do it? In a sentence.
Very.
Very.
Just moan the buddies.
Come on, the buddies.
Nervous at this stage. I really, really want us to win. Don't talk to me on Thursday or Friday if we don't win.
Well, listen, fingers crossed. I know you'll all be glued to the television tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have some good news on this programme tomorrow night. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Now, UK sales of new